jungle.
Hey there! Welcome to the first episode of the African Fashion Show, a show which is going to celebrate everything about African. The fashion, the clothes, the attire, and in case you're interested, please, this is the channel you should be tuned into. My name is Asimo Conrad Arnitwe. I'm going to be your host. And today, I am privileged to have the right person for this episode. Let him introduce himself.
Thank you so much, Asime Conrad, for the invitation to this prestigious show. I'm Arok James Isaiah, the Corporate Affairs Manager of Kazozah Fashion House. I am also the co-founder of the Enlightened magazine, and I'm also the media consultant of Alpha Yan Consultants. It's a privilege.
Thank you. James is quite a man of many hats. Though today, of those hats, I'm more interested in the African part of it, the African fashion show. We are more interested in looking at that part. So, James, tell us a bit about Kazozah. The reason I'm asking is that we think it's one of those houses that our viewers could get interested in what they are doing. What is Kazozah? What do they do? What is so unique about them?
Yes, thank you so much. Well, Kazozah is a social African craftsman industry that particularly deal in promoting the African fashion, particularly amongst the young people, to ensure that the youth are able to embrace the African cultural heritage. Of course, one of the aspirations that we have looked at when we were coming up with the idea is that we want to allow the youth to embrace the aspect of the African, young people, young women and men, feel good in their historically and culturally original fashion. Of course, you would remember the likes of Shaka Zulu, remember the likes of what is the name of this famous
Kwame Nkrumah.
Kwame Nkrumah. You remember the likes of Jomo Kenyatta and so many others. So we would want to ensure that this same heritage is not lost amidst the wave of the globalization and the Western society, cropping into the African cultures.
Quite interesting. In your submission, I've heard you talk about the youth, and as you know, demographically speaking, Uganda is one of those countries with a high percentage of the what? Of the youth. So, how are you interesting the youth in your products? The reason I'm saying this, you're dealing with a generation that is much more comfortable with Gucci and Gabbana, Versace, and all those European fashion houses, Louis Vuitton. So how are you going about it? You could share with us and we get to know.
It's quite interesting. I must admit that in the current global system where we're in, the media has washed the brain of the young people, the brain of the youth, and we have resorted into everything that is Western to be, of course, the creme de la creme. And we have chosen to abandon, the original, Africanity, the original African dress code that our forefathers had in the past. So one of the challenges that we are dealing with now is the aspect of the role models that young people have, of course, in the Western societies, influencing how they should think fashion, how they should think creativity, how they should think anything that has to do with an apron a man or a woman is supposed to put on. So particularly now, one of having understood where the problem is coming from, one of the strategies that we are looking at is ensuring that we have a very comprehensive media strategy that is able to reach the young people and explaining, of course, the origin of the African fashion and the African dress code, the African heritage. Again, you would look at the fact that wouldn't blame the young people at the moment, because the young people have been lost along the waves of the modernization and the waves of the Western, fashion coming on board. And they have little or absolutely no idea of some of these, wonderful African fashion clothes that we put on. Majority would actually look at these as for the elderly, the bazaars, and anyone that should put this on has to be someone at the age of 50 plus. So anyone at the age of 18 to 25 sees this as obsolete and really has no that visual appeal to who they are. So that becomes quite very challenging. And here now, what we're doing is to ensure that we come up with a very strategic campaign that can emotionally appeal to the young people through showcasing our historic heroes, the likes of Kwame Nkrumah, as you earlier noted, the likes of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, the late. You talk about some of these cultural leaders in the past. You talk of the Shaka Zulu, the conqueror. When we bring these in the media lenses and the media aspect, that is going to have some sort of change of perception, because the African fashion or the African identity is going to be exhibited in a way that appeal to them, because that essentially is what the Western world is doing now. When you look at the Versace, or all these Western African fashion houses, they use the influencer marketing. They use product placement in movies and
absolutely. You're so right.
In so many other events that is able to reach a very global context. So that, having seen as how our youth are being taken away, we want to ensure that we also apply the same strategy to ensure that we appeal to the young people to embrace the African heritage.
Quite an interesting take. I'm also interested in the channels that you're using. Yes, you want to interest these youth. So I think the viewers would want to know, how are they going to ensure people get to become aware of these products? Are you doing adverts? Are you doing bazaars? You will notice, James, that not so much is known. For example, you're competing against, if you've seen adverts, if you've seen movies, these people literally place these products in your eyes.
Absolutely.
You may not want the Gucci bag, but
you see it there.
You will see. So the viewers would want to know, how do you really want to push Kazozah's products so they become a must-have, especially for the youth? Remember, the old people really know where to find these things. They are very particular. But also, you're looking at a generation which is basically dying out. So I'm also much more interested in the channels that you're going to push this African wear.
Yes, that is very important. One is that we have done a very comprehensive survey to ensure where the channels upon which the young people have at the moment embraced and where they are now. So it's the world has turned digital. The direct marketing has been quite obsolete, and right now any brand that uses the direct marketing may not be able to catch the target. So one of the platforms that we have seen is quite interesting, the social media platform, where about 70% of the youth in Uganda have embraced.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have seen, of course, Twitter. We've seen TikTok now taking the center stage of all the social media platforms. Facebook is also quite a very fertile area where young people can be accessed. Instagram, where we have the aspect of the visual appeal of the product of the African cultural wear. So having done that survey, we've realized that the best way that we can be able to reach out to the young people is doing the digital media strategy, rather the digital marketing. We have our partners like the likes of the NBS, Raise NTV. We have the Urban that is quite popular among the young people that we have partnered with to ensure that they extend our brand, they extend our message, they extend the products that we want to push out to the young people outside there. So what is very important here then is that we need to identify some of, in fact, it's already happening now. We are dealing with quite a number of brand ambassadors that are very influential and very appealing among the young people to ensure that they embrace, or rather they are able to push our brand further. So that then now becomes an appealing strategy that we are able to get, these taken, or these youth that have been, of course, have embraced the Western fashion and the Western idea of what the right fashion is supposed to be. And so the most interesting thing is that we have very concerned, African nationalists that have also, had the same issue that we are driving to solving now. When you go to the site of South Sudan, we have the son of the late Dr. John Garang. It's called Mabior
Garang, whom I've noticed he's a very enthusiastic Pan Africanist. In most of the videos he takes, he's putting on that African wear.
Absolutely. And amidst our campaign and our survey, we've also, of course, reached out to him and shared with him what Kazozah is doing, and he has pledged his support to ensure that our message gets outside there.
My dear viewers, in case you also forgot, our visitor today is from South Sudan, the land of the tall people. I know you,
giants.
Of the giants. You should have noticed that there is quite a height difference. Mr. James, the other thing I also wanted to share with the viewers, Kazozah, I would like to believe Kazozah is more than fashion. Because there could be young people who are watching it and they are wondering, for example, if I'm not into fashion, how can Kazozah help out? Are you having projects that help out the artisans? Are you having projects that target other people? And what kind of information are you having that we could share with our viewers?
Yes, thank you so much. As earlier noted, that Kazozah Fashion House is a social enterprise. And yes, one of the key issues that we have looked at targeting is the youth unemployment. We have noted that in Uganda, about 70% of the graduates, get into the job industry and they're unable to find placement. They are unable to find job opportunities. And, you ask yourself also that most of the billionaires in the world are not into the formal employment. They are into the arts and crafts. And it's the very essence that you're seeing the fashion of the Louis Vuitton, the Versace, and this is those are some of the fashion houses that are promoting the Western ideology, the Western arts and crafts. But at the end of the day, they are employing millions and millions of employees. They are employing, thousands of uneducated workers, and so on and so forth. So what we are looking at now is to ensure that we present the youth with an opportunity to be able to showcase their skills, of course, in line with the African arts and craft, the African fashion, to ensure that they are able to, come up with the product, clothes, shoes. You talk of kanzus, you talk of bushanana, you talk of how do you call this? Gomesi, Busuti. Among the Acholi, there is these some of these very interesting and intriguing clothes made of the skins, hides and skins, and so quite interesting that these are some of the products that, when marketed very well, they transcend the context of the Ugandan, and it goes beyond. I was talking the other day with a colleague of mine who is based in Italy. He's into the modeling and all that, and I was quite shocked to notice that quite a number of non-Africans there have sort of embraced some of the African products, and they have of course added a touch of modernity to come up with some very interesting fashion pieces that they're using to promote their film industries, their music industry, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And do you know how much they are making out of that? It's a lot. It's actually, if you even had a chance of, if you go into most of those European museums,
yes, most of the treasured items are African items. It's the African pots, it's the African thing. Fun enough, here if you make your exhibition and you're exhibiting African items, people will not show up. They'll be like, I see that pot at home. I see that spear at home.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's quite the irony there. There's so much that we could be done. But also, James, in relation to Uganda's case, I think that the government, if you're going to push like products, you realize that you must somehow collaborate with the government. And the government has introduced the Buy Uganda. Bubu.
The Buy Uganda, Build Uganda.
Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, which I've seen the government emphasizing. I've seen the government trying to encourage Ugandans to take up.
To ensure that they.
So, are you as Kazozah and other Uganda fashion designers, how are you buying into the Bubu, and how are you collaborating with the government to give a push to your products? I think the viewers would be very, very interested in hearing that.
Yes, so that is very important. Any concept or any idea that is going to succeed has to ensure that it aligns with the government policies. It is understood well by the government. It is, of course, in collaboration with all that the government of any nation, tries to push out. It's not just fashion in itself. It holds our symbols. It holds our aspect of who we are, our roots, our origin, and we should ensure that we hold it so dearly that it is a preservation. It's a continuation of who we are. So, and that is why now Kazozah Fashion House ensures that we have this move going forward. At the moment now, we have also partnered with Entebbe International Airport, where in some of their stores we have, of course, input most of our very interesting art pieces to ensure that tourists that gets into the country, the first thing that they, of course, interface with our very interesting African fashion items of symbols. And that's going quite well, and I just want to encourage each and every young people outside there to ensure that we do not lose our roots amidst the waves of the modernity. Quite very interesting.
Thanks for all those wonderful insight, James Rock, a man of many hats. I remain your host, Asimo Conrad Arnitwe. Kindly stay tuned in next week for another episode. Ciao. Yes.
Thank you so much for the invite.
The host.